tonight we have I know which will be a very good program. Our presenter, Soheil Zendeh, he was born and grew up in Tehran, Iran, and then spent part of his childhood in Morocco. He has been a resident of Eastern Massachusetts for over 60 years. He began his interest in shorebirds in the early 1970s. He started to contribute to the Boston area shorebird data to Manomet's International Shorebird Surveys in 1976. He just recently moved inland a tad to Littleton, Massachusetts, where he lives with his wife, Christine. And he's going to be talking today about his new Shorebird app for New England and southeastern Canada. So without further ado, Soheil, it is your turn to present.
Hi, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to start with, hello. We go. So cute little shorebird. Anyone want to adopt it? We'll get back to him at the end. We're going to talk about Shorebirds of the Northeast, which is a phone app I made to be, it's hosted by Bird Observer Magazine. It's a visual field guide. And everybody can hear me and see this clearly?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So it's a digital shorebird guide that's on the Bird Observer site. It's free, and you either got a link to it already or you will get a link to it. Just to be clear, I'm not being cute. I just want to make sure everybody knows what we're at. Geese are not shorebirds. Gulls are not shorebirds. Herons are not shorebirds. Spoonbills are not shorebirds. Ducks are not shorebirds. What is a shorebird is oyster catchers, plovers like black-bellied plover, sandpipers like dowitchers, or least sandpiper. Sometimes shorebirds still come in clouds. Used to be in really big clouds, but they're still coming through in clouds occasionally and during migration. Semi-palmated plover is a shorebird. In Winthrop, Massachusetts, where I usually look for shorebirds, I often find these clouds of semi-palmated sandpipers. In the west, you'd find Wilson's phalaropes. Those are shorebirds. Marbled godwits and willets are shorebirds. Pectoral sandpiper is a shorebird. In the 80s, when I started looking at 70s and 80s, when I started looking at shorebirds, they would come through in big flocks. It's like you'd see 100 birds easily just spread out in front of you on this little puddle in East Boston. Or you'd get hundreds, even several hundred black-bellied plovers in the spring, migrating through with turnstones. On August of 1983, at Belle Isle in East Boston, I had 55 Hudsonian godwits. I managed to get a photo of 33 of them in flight. You don't see these numbers anymore. Now, Hudsonian godwit, like many shorebirds, is a long-distance migrant. Hudsonian godwit is just about the longest distance migrant. A lot of these birds nest in the Arctic, and then they migrate south into South America. They winter there, and then they come back. And for Hudsonian godwit, in any case, others are less mileage, but this bird travels somewhere between 6,000 to 8,000, maybe even 9,000 miles each way. So these are big time travelers, and numbers are down. Here's a problem. Let me get rid of this bar that's down at the bottom. I don't know. It's sort of in the way. Sorry. Um, National Audubon came up with this graphic which shows the decline in birds in general. We know the numbers are down. Grassland birds are down over 50% as a group. Shorebirds are not far behind, like 40%, almost. And these are drastic numbers, but what's happening, what's worse is that the declines are actually accelerating in North America. And this was written up in a paper that was published in 2020 by some of the big names in shorebird research: Paul Smith, Brian Harrington, Brad Wynn, Stephen Brown, Guy Morrison. These people were looking at shorebird data over the last 35 years. And what they came up with, one of the graphics that struck me as kind of illustrative of what we're talking about, they took the 3-generation at the beginning of the 35-year period and noticed and calculated how off the norm they were. So that's the green. For example, American golden plover was down some. Black-bellied plover was down some. Buff-breasted sandpiper, Hudsonian godwit, they're all down some, 4%, 5%. In the most recent period, in that 30-year span, the recent 3 generations is shown in the black bars, which are down by, in some cases, twice as much, like 10% for Hudsonian godwit. Look at red knot, just totally crashing. Short-billed dowitcher, same thing. Solitary sandpiper, white drum sandpiper. These birds, a lot of these birds are declining at a faster rate now than they were, say, 30 years ago. Not a good scene. From our own data in Eastern Massachusetts, this is a copy of, this is the data from May of 1976. It was published in the July-August copy of Bird Observer in 1976. These are numbers we do not see anymore. Newburyport Harbor, black-bellied plover, 6,500. Ruddy turnstone, 600. Least sandpiper, 1,000. Dunlin, 2,000. Short-billed dowitcher is 1,400. You can't see it off the bottom of the page. This one guy, Rick Heil, reported from Newburyport Harbor in May of 2024. He was counting birds. He came up with 37 least sandpipers, and he says, shockingly low, the traditional May high counts here of decades ago are a thing of the past. Look at these numbers: 3,000 in 1978, 4,000 in 1979, 3,000 in 1999. Even in 2000, there were 2,000 birds. And he also had 1 semi-palmated sandpiper. This is in the middle of May in Newburyport. So numbers are astonishing and really, really gone down. Way back in the 17th, 18th century, these birds and wildlife were incredibly abundant in North America when Europeans arrived. And they were that way until the middle of the 19th century, when market hunting started, market gunning started, and these birds were hunted in a really serious way. And they went down and then they came back up because of the 1918 bird treaty, migratory bird treaty. And then they increased, and by the 1980s, when I was starting to bird, there were lots of these birds. But that's when, in 1976, this man at Manomet started a program called ISS, International Shorebird. His name is Brian Harrington. He must have seen something. He must have known something, because somewhere like 10, 15 years after we started this program of counting shorebirds in migration, things started going down, and they're still going down now. So we just think that my feeling is like, what am I doing? ISS spread not only through North America, but they started getting contributions from the Central American and Latin American populations, and they're training a lot of people to go and look at wildlife and birds. What are we doing? Like, I've been counting birds. How does that help birds? And I think that getting more people interested to look at them and to understand what they are, and a lot of people complain shorebirds are difficult to identify. I thought to myself, let's look at field guides and see if we can help people understand what they are. And this is what I call my Shorebird Bible. It's an amazing book. It's got these spreads where 2 species are described in incredible detail, and all these drawings are of the bills and feathers and all this. It's a fantastic field guide to have. But can you carry it in the field? I don't know. This one was made by these guys in New Jersey, Michael O'Brien, Richard Crossley, and Kevin Carlson. It's a great field guide. It's got photographs, but it's kind of big. It's a little unwieldy, and you can't blow up the photos to see detail. They're just whatever they are on the page. A really portable field guide is this one, the Stokes Guide, that's delightfully made. It's brief. It doesn't cover all the birds, but it's certainly something you can carry in the field. So I decided, all right, here's what I can do to help in any way that I can, other than just counting birds, to get other people interested in these shorebirds so that we can have a constituency for them. I'll make something that's digital that people can put on their phone, and therefore just become more familiar with them. And here it is. This is something that you can actually put on your phone or on your computer and use it. And you can, right now there's 20 species roughly that I've covered. You can figure out which one you want by, like, if you see a small bird, it's likely to be maybe this one. If it's larger, it's maybe a black-bellied plover. If it's tiny, if it's it may be a leaf sandpiper. You can sort of find your way around using sizes as I've displayed them on the opening page. And then let's say you want to go, and I happen to just pick this one because it's both complicated and kind of interesting to me. You go to the panel that says view this guide, and you open it up. And first of all, on short-billed dowitcher, you get a little bit of a text just describing what it is. And then you immediately can go to the visual gallery, and you get all these images of what short-billed dowitchers look like in different plumages. And it starts right at the top with winter, basic. And then the birds change their plumage, and by spring, they're bright and orange and reds. And then by summer, they change again, they become darker, and then the juveniles come in. So this is all like in order of essentially by age. I have them arranged, and each photo has these call outs, but what you can do is go to a photo, say, and click on it, and it blows up. And you can even take this, and I'm using my two fingers right now, and blow it up even more if you need to. And you can see the on short-billed dowitcher, for example, that telltale mark, the white line up the back, and these white secondary tips that tells you it's a dowitcher. Doesn't tell you it's a short billed, but it is a dowitcher if you see those field marks. So this is the typical sort of thing that you can do with this field guide is blow it up, look at different features. You can also go, let's see if I can get to the next image. There we go. You got comparison of the adult summer alternate plumage with the juvenile, the adult being kind of dark and brown and blackish, and the juvenile being much more colorful. Even though they have the same shape, you know they're dowitchers, but they look so different from each other. You can look at the detail on the underwing of these birds. The short-billed dowitcher has barring on the underwing. Of course, you can't see it unless you get a photo or and then lifts its wings or it's on flight. But it's a useful field guide, field mark to know about. The juvenile in the fall starts to lose its bright plumage, which is sort of rusty and brown, and gets that gray winter basic plumage. But still, some of the feathers from the juvenile plumage remains, and that's these tertials, which are the long feathers that lie over the primaries, and they have those squiggle marks on them, the zigzag markings. And there's a story about this that I want to tell you that's kind of fun. That's a distinctive thing that you can use to identify short-billed dowitcher only when they're juveniles. So we were at Plum Island after the release of this app. I was working on it all last year, and then in the fall, it got released on phones. I had it on my phone. We were on October 9th. We were at Plum Island in Newburyport, Massachusetts, and we're trying to look at shorebirds with a group of people, and there were not many shorebirds. In fact, there was just one dowitcher. Now that season, it could be either. We get lots of short-billed dowitchers through the summer and fall, but then the long-billed dowitcher starts showing up in October, usually. So it could have been either. And the question was, which one? And I just had a great deal of fun putting the scope on this bird and showing people right on my phone what you look for, which is the squiggly feathers, the tertial feathers that are on the short-billed juvenile. Whereas if you had a long-billed, it would be these plain gray, nondescript feathers. So you can just immediately tell those things apart, and we knew right away. There was no question about which one this was. So I had really a lot of fun with that one. After you look through that visual gallery, you can go into the text, and I just have some really brief, basic description of what like basic is, what alternate is, what a juvenile is. These are the names, technical names for winter, summer, or spring, and juvenile, of course. Then we have size and weight, which you can't see because this foolish thing is in the way. Sorry, I don't know how to get rid of it.
You should be able to drag it down, the mouse.
I'll try. Yeah, it doesn't move. It's stuck. Anyway, you get the idea. I just got a little table of size and weight for this for dowitcher, and then we get There's a website called Xenocanto, which some of you may know. It's nature songs and calls, just like from all sorts of creatures, lots of birds. And what I did is I grabbed a couple of files just for dowager calls, the little noises that they make while they're here. I do have one fun thing I want to share with you that's not in the app. Shorebirds have songs. And in the Arctic, when they arrive at their breeding spots, they will sing, but not around here. However, one day I'm at Belle Isle in East Boston, and I hear this song, and this bird is clearly flying overhead, flying back and forth, and I've never heard this song before. I'm saying, what could it be? I look up at it, it's a dowager, and it's singing its head off. And I'm saying, whoa. Isn't that cool? It just sang over and over. This just went over and over. Come on. So it's a very cool thing. It's not going to be in the guide because those birds don't sing around here. It just happened. I was very lucky to get it there, but I wanted to let you know, shorebirds sing when you get up to the Arctic. We'll continue on in this guide. There's a long textual passage which describes plumage and other characteristics. And things like chunky body, short legs, long bill, all this sort of stuff with illustrations. You can link to these things through the green links. I'll just pick one. This one is the one about newly fledged birds, tertial feathers, the long feathers that nearly cover the primaries, et cetera, et cetera. And we open, and it's this dinky little photo. Like, huh? What am I supposed to do with that? Never fear. There's a double-headed arrow here. You pull it out, and there it is. You can get a big image, and you can see the details. There's those tertial feathers with a zigzag pattern, and then there's the gorgeous back color of the juvenile, and you can still blow this up as well. I just use my 2 fingers to blow it up. So it's the kind of thing where if you need the image big, it's there. If you want to read the text, it's also there. And that way you can kind of strengthen whatever it is you learned by looking at the pictures, by looking at the text. Then we get to another page where breeding range, migration, wintering range, and habitat are described. It's all text. It's essentially background information. It's the sort of thing where you don't need this in a field guide necessarily, but it's if you want to look up and see where they nest or what they eat on their way to the nesting grounds or to their wintering grounds. It's just really brief descriptions. Nothing detailed, believe me. And then we get to another large section of the field guide, which is similar species. And of course, in this case, first thing we have to do is compare short-billed dowager to long-billed dowager and figure out how to tell them apart. And there's a lot of things on this list. It just goes on and on and on. Calls, the pattern of the tertials that I already showed you. We'll go to that in a second. The pattern on the patagium, I'll show you that. Let's take a look at this one. There's a pattern on the patagium. Short-billed dowager has bars in the underwing like that. Long-billed dowager is pale in that region of the wing. And that's applies in all plumages. It's not just juveniles or adults or anything. All of them have that feature. So, but you still have to get the bird to lift its wing, which is not always easy, or catch it in flight, get a photo of it. So some of these features are just hard to do without photographic equipment. This is a really obscure mark, but I'll just tell you a little bit. Both birds, long-billed and short-billed, have either straight bill or slightly curved bill. But in the case of short-billed, it's more of a kink. And it's really subtle. It's like there's a little bit of at the tip. I got to tell you about it. People consider it a field mark to know about, so I thought I should tell you about it. And then, anyway, let's go on to the next one, which is the one you saw already. This is surefire between juvenile short-billed and long-billed. No question at all about which is which. The squigglies give it away. Then we get to the next species, which is red knot and short-billed dowitcher, and you can blow it up and see the differences. Bill length, gray in the red knot and brown. These are juveniles, of course. Brown, reddish on dowitcher. Short-billed dowitcher compared to still sandpiper. Cool comparison. They have similarities, of course, but still sandpiper has a very heavy barring. This is in breeding plumage and alternate plumage. Very heavy barring across the breast. And dowitchers have some barring, but it's mostly spotting. The bill shape is somewhat different. The bill on the still sandpiper is also long, but just definitely curved. You can see that curve. And it's a skinnier bird with longer legs. It stands up taller. Next one, I love to get these images which show multiple species together, because that's how we see them. When we go out in the field, you see a dunlin and a still sandpiper together, and they have similar long bills. But what's the difference? Well, dunlin has black legs, still sandpiper has yellowish or pale legs. Dowitcher is much fatter than either of them. Then we get to something like this, where you see a whole bunch of different ones in flight, and you can tell them apart. But if you have a decent enough photo, dowitcher, of course, has that white in the middle of in the back. Let's see if I can show you. My mouse isn't working well. Here we are. Well, there's a white stripe up the middle of the back of the dowitcher. We talked about that before. The stilt sandpipers and the yellow legs have white rumps, but you can see the bill shape of the yellow legs is different from the stilt sandpipers. And then dunlin has a dark line down the middle of the tail. So not obvious, but you can sort of start seeing these differences as the birds fly away from you. Dowitcher and dunlin, long bills, different wing patterns. That barring on the underwings of the dowitcher is quite noticeable. Then we get, we can see yellow legs and dowitchers together. It's kind of nice to see a bunch of different ones sort of all clumped together. And then finally, my most favorite image from the great Sean Carey. Dina, you might remember Sean. He ran all the, he's just a great photographer. Lesser yellow legs, greater yellow legs, and short-billed dowitcher together. And just I love this image. Then we finally are at the end. I had to give thanks to my editor, Marcia Salette, and also to Eric Swansea, who is the person who actually built this app. I created the content and the images and the text, but Eric made it into an app. I could not have done that without Eric. None of us know how to do this stuff. He's good. And then there's long list of photographers whose images appear in this guide. So those are my acknowledgments. And finally, we get back to that shorebird that I said was up for adoption. This gent is sorry, I forget his name. Brad. Oh God, my brain is not working. Brad Wynn. He is one of the researchers at Manomet. This is an image, or actually it's a video taken in the Arctic at Hudson Bay on an island called Coates Island at the north end of the north edge of Hudson Bay. And he was there banding and, well, you can hear what he has to say about it.
So Shiloh and I just got this bird. This is the second geolocated semi-palmated sandpiper that we have captured.
I'm sorry, I have to ask you, could you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, but now I have to go back to it. Here we go. Yeah, I messed it up.
From current slide.
Yeah, I just have to go through the whole thing again, but I can get to his slide or his video in a second. I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear him. Here we go.
So Shiloh and I just got this bird. This is the second geolocated semi-palmated sandpiper that we have captured back here on Coates Island. And we were very excited to get this guy. We've been seeing him since the hour after we arrived. We've been seeing this little guy, and he's avoided us. But we got him in a mist net. We've removed the geolocator that's been on him for a year. That little tiny device that was on his leg will tell us where he has been for the year. And we're really excited to know. We are hoping that we'll also see his flight path all the way down to wherever he wintered, either most likely on the north coast of South America or Panama Bay. We're not sure which. And maybe there's a new place these eastern semi-palmated sandpipers are going. We're hoping that the population has not truly crashed and that there is a location that we are not aware of for their wintering habitat. But look how tiny this bird is. His head is literally smaller than my thumb, and that in that little brain is the map of the Western Hemisphere. This little guy, and with his little wings, has flown all the way up here to the middle of top part of Hudson Bay, and it's just a phenomenal thing to think about. The size of the landscape out here, the immensity of the land we've been walking across, where the caribou are roaming, where there are polar bears on the coast. This little dude has come all the way across the hemisphere to get here to breed. We're right on his territory, and he's waiting for his mate to show up. So we're going to let him go now, and good luck to you, buddy. I hope she comes, and we'll be seeing you every day in the next couple weeks while we're here. All right, you've had enough of us, and you're gonna be a lot lighter now without that geolocator on you.
So the path that bird traveled is on this red line. He's saying this 3,300 miles. I think that this is the 3,300 mile flight from the north shore of South America to James Bay, which is the tip of the southern tip of Hudson Bay, and then Coates Island is up here. And then on the fall migration, I believe they didn't say which way that bird traveled, but I believe this is the fall route, and the short one is the spring route. But that's I don't know, 7,000 miles that tiny bird traveled for that year, just that year. So that's it. That's all I have to tell you. I'm let's see. I want to stop the share here. I'd love to leave this image up, but we want to see each other, so I guess I'll have to. Here we are. We're back. We're back. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them. And thank you very much for listening.
If at any point you want to actually look at the website, I do have it up and I can share that screen and show it if there's anything more you want to point out.
What can
Oh,
we
okay, good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
What can we do to help?
Well, primarily, I'm saying learn what they are and check them out. Check them out. And then what we need to do is lean on our state and eventually, of course, the federal government to give bigger protection to migratory birds, but also heavily stamp down on pesticides. Pesticides are killing us, killing the insects, and killing the wildlife that depends on insects. That's my main, that's what I'm pushing. I don't know. I mean, you can look into it more, but to me, it's the pesticides that are doing the majority of the damage to a lot of these creatures, especially birds that eat insects. We've seen it all. Insects are down.
Not be shorebirds.
Speak up. Sorry.
Soheil, what impact is avian flu having on the shorebird population?
That's a really good question, and I don't know the answer. As far as I know, it's been killing gulls, ducks, and geese, and birds that potentially associate with domestic birds. Shorebirds go, like, they're up there in the Arctic, then they come through our area briefly and they down in really uninhabited parts of South America. I don't know if they're getting that much exposure, but it's a good question. I don't know the answer.
I have a question. In New Jersey, a lot of the focus, at least for shorebirds, seeing the numbers dropping, has been the protection of the red knot. What is your take on, and a lot of us, we go down to the Bayshore every year and try to see the knots during migration. And I know the link to their drop is with the horseshoe crab eggs. Are you familiar with I was excited about what to do about it. Like, that's one shorebird. We know what we could do about it. We could stop the harvesting of
Crabs.
the eggs. Are there other shorebirds that it's something that's simple?
Yes. It's not just red knots. Turnstones, semi-palmated sandpipers, probably dowitchers. I'm not positive of that, but a lot of shorebirds, at least of those 3 species that I mentioned, plus others, concentrate in Delaware Bay to suck down those horseshoe crab eggs, and that's a big deal. And New Jersey's already done some about it. like, for example, they've shut off some of the beach access. Delaware has not, by the way. And if there's any way to put pressure on Delaware and Delaware legislature to shut some of those beaches down in the spring, that might be significant. New Jersey's done quite a bit, as far as I know.
I thought that we were still harvesting the horseshoe crabs in New Jersey.
I think they've reduced it significantly. They're still doing some for medical reasons.
They've worked on it. That's all I know. That they have reduced the amount of take, and that the take is much higher now in Delaware than Jersey.
So how can we get the app?
The app should be in the link that I think Donna sent it out already, no?
Right. I sent it out in everybody's emails, and when I hit the link, it brings me to the app. But is there a way on an iPhone to download it to my iPhone? I can't figure
No, it actually is not that kind of app. It needs a connection.
Okay.
But you can put a little emblem on your if you go to the end of the last page, there will be a little place that says, here, do this, and you'll have it on your phone. You'll have an icon on your phone. And you
it says it's a web app for your phone. Choose add to home screen now to add an app icon to your screen. But if I click that, nothing happens. I've got an iPhone.
I better find out why.
Could you just double check?
Because I'm not the developer. I don't know. It took me a while to figure out how to get it on my phone. Because you can always use the link and go to the app.
Yeah, I definitely.
But you want a little icon, and it took me a while to get that icon to actually work. But it can be done.
If you figure it out, let me know, and I'll put it in an email when I send out the next email.
I will pass it around.
But
it should be easier than it is.
Is this something? Because I had a little trouble too. Like, is this something? It's not something you could just get it on the App Store.
No.
No. Okay.
It's not on any App Store. No.
Gotcha.
Not yet. This is version 1. We're still working on it.
So here, I have one more question for you. You know, a lot of birders, especially beginning birders, are very intimidated by shorebird identification. You know, it's a little bit overwhelming. It's like very black and white and very,
right.
You know, it's a lot easier. You know, warblers and you know, and a lot of our songbirds. What are there any tricks that you could give us just to you know, just to put us at ease? Like here's a couple of just like kind of like, you know, things that could just make it easier, just to make it seem less intimidating?
I think it's been mostly a matter of exposure. Now, one of the things I like to tell people is 40 years ago, all the hawk people started working on hawk identification and helping us, putting out little circulars and making hawk watching sexy. And nobody thinks hawk watching is a big deal now. Everybody does it. They're no easier. Believe me, hawks are no easier, or shorebirds are no harder than hawks. They're all browns and grays. But hawk people did it. And now we haven't done the work of exposing people to shorebirds. And I'm trying to expose more people. And all you need to do is look and look and look, and you get, suddenly it just clicks. You see, oh, I can tell the difference. Like red knot and dowitcher, they're very close, and yet they're so different. I went with a friend to Monomoy, and we had both dowitchers and red knots together, and he was saying, "Look now, which one is a red knot?" And it's like the gray ones are red knot, and the brown ones are dowitcher. Simple, but it isn't so simple unless you look at it over and over. It's just a matter of practice. Your eyes can get tuned to this shades of gray, shades of brown. Plus, there's the fancy ones. There's always the Wilson's phalarope, you know, or the insanely gorgeous Hudsonian godwit and breeding plumage. Sorry, I don't have any great tricks for you. other than practice.
You find it easier if you have a camera and you take pictures and you try to identify them at home?
That's true with dragonflies for me, because my eyes are so terrible. I can't see small things. But shorebirds are big enough, so my eyes don't have that much trouble with them. I think as we get older, this stuff does get harder. And at some point, yeah, camera helps for sure. But, those birds are good enough. You get close enough, and they're not warblers. They don't move around like crazy. You can usually get up to them and get them where we go shorebirding here in Boston, and you just walk on the beach, and you got to kick them out of your way. It used to be much more like that. There are far fewer birds now, and so it's
You don't kick them as much.
they don't kick as much.
Any other questions?
Any others?
Thank you so much for introducing us to this app. I really think it's going to be helpful.
Okay,
Thank you
so
so much, Soheil.
I will share my email. Well, Donna can share my email, and obviously you'll get the app. And if there's problems, just bug me. I'll try to figure out what's going on, why it's so hard. I tell you, I had trouble getting out of my iPhone, but then it suddenly worked. So not impossible, just works.
So is it less an app and more like just a website?
It's a website.
Okay,
That's
so
correct.
I think
quite
maybe
correct.
that's the confusion. It's not an app. It's a website.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, so you're basically just bookmarking it versus
Correct.
being an app that you
Yes.
actually an application
Yes.
that you would download on your smartphone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
That was so good. Thank you so much.
No, you can't. But you can have a bookmark.
Very happy to have been here. Thank you.
Thank you, Soheil. This is great. What an incredible piece of work you've done.
There's more, by the way, there's 5 more species. I'm aiming for 15 more species, but it's slow going. Each one takes 3 weeks to a month and a half of research, but it makes me read up. Birds of the World is fantastic. So I've been reading all these accounts, shorebird accounts, or these species accounts in Birds of the World, and it's fabulous. And then researching photos from all over the world.
Well, join us on our Cape Ann trip. That way you can help the 8 of us with our winter.
Send me the link. Send me the dates you're going to be there. I'm not promising anything. Not promising anything.
I will do that.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Evan.
Thank you very much.
Don't forget, we'll have
Andy.
next month plus our virtual bird walk, right, Sandy?
March is virtual.
Okay.
And this month is
Nothing.
nothing.
No, because everybody's away. So we're going to skip virtual bird walk for February, but we'll have 2 meetings, the regular meeting in March and the virtual bird walk meeting.
Yeah.
Great.
That
Maybe
should work.
maybe our next virtual bird walk could be a shorebirds, and we could quiz each other. Tell what the bird is. It could be fun.
That's a great idea.
We could have Soheil's website up to catch. I find a lot of the younger birders in our group are definitely using photography to identify the birds. They'll
Which
go
is
out-
cheating, by the way.
excuse me?
Which is cheating, by the way.
And they'll also use the iNaturalists, so things are changing in the birding world, and the technology is helpful, but it's always good if you can identify that song once you've learned it. Okay, thank you very
Well,
much.
let me share my screen for a second here on this. This is the bird I was talking about earlier. If
Ah,
I hadn't
Wow.
taken a
I didn't
picture,
see it.
I
Oh,
don't think I would have had a clue as to what it was.
oh.
But once you see the picture, it becomes obvious what it is.
Wait, but Sandy, so what did you think it was right away?
I was at a distance. I thought it was an egret.
So you went, this is, you identified it after you got home and you looked through all your photos?
Well, but not when I got home, but that evening.
Well, that evening, you know what I mean?
I blew it up a bit. But once you see this is my point. Once you see the bill, it becomes obvious it's a reddish egret.
Mm. Mm.
And that's not how Rick Wright identified it. He looked at the feet,
Huh.
which I didn't have a clue that you could do.
Just a reminder, Sandy, an egret is not a shorebird.
I know that. And the other one isn't either that I mentioned earlier.
Well done, pigeon.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
That's the bear-eyed.
Ooh.
That looks like the Mr. Monopoly pigeon.
Goth. It's very goth. But from a distance, I saw this initially from a distance, and I thought it was like a white-winged dove. And until you blow it up and look at the picture, I didn't know what the eye looked like. Well, that was my point anyway.
Photography is definitely helpful.
Yes.
Get rid of this thing.
Thank you so much, Soheil.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you
great.
for listening.
You.
I hope you come to more of our meetings.
Well, I do get the notices and I will try.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. So we'll see everybody then you'll see them in Cape Ann.
And then March 12th.
Have they been seeing lots of snowy owls up in Cape Ann so far this winter?
Very few. I have not seen one yet this winter.
Oh, I was hoping.
They've been scared. They showed up in November or December, but they just have not been around. There've been a bunch at the airport, at Logan Airport, but nowhere else.
Yeah,
that
we
I know of.
Plum Island, but that was the middle of November.
There've been scattered reports. In fact, there was one in Lynn, which is one of the places I go, but I didn't see it. Anyway, yeah, they're little. So far, they've been skittish.
A friend of mine who many of you have birded with, Steve Drosty, just bought a round trip ticket from Newark to Minneapolis. It is incredible what Minnesota has been seeing the last month. I don't know if anyone knows, but like great gray owls, orioles, and northern hawk owls, like a huge invasion.
Wow.
Really?
Maybe we should be going that way.
And he said it's only like an hour north of Minneapolis. It's not like you're traveling into like the Arctic. It's like they're literally like,
Yes, you are.
well,
It is like the Arctic. It's just colder.
it's cold. I saw how cold it's going to be there. It's going to be really cold, but it's amazing. You just jump on the plane and like 3.5 hours later, boom. But
Okay,
they say it's like a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Like the photos that has anyone seen any of these photos that they're getting? Like there's one that people are sharing, literally a great gray owl landed on a photographer's lens.
What?
Yes. Here, you want to wait, we could share my screen. Hold on a second.
Oh my God.
All right.
So maybe we should do a field trip.
Wait, how did you take the photo then?
Another photographer took the picture. Hold on.
Because birding in Minnesota in the summer is deadly with those mosquitoes.
Yeah.
God, they'll carry you off.
Let me see if I could.
Those at Amesbury Port next week are Wednesday 10, Thursday 17, Friday 17.
Yeah, Bill, just make sure you pack lots of layers.
Sandy, can you share my screen? I'm sorry, I can't. I finally got this picture.
You have to hit the green button to share.
Oh. Sorry, hold on. Hit the green button. Okay.
Select it.
Wait, hold on a second.
It's giving you choices. Pick one.
Wait, I got to go back to Zoom. Hold on. Share screen. There we go. Did that work?
No.
All right, hold on. Share. Oh my God. There.
When you
No.
did share screen, it showed you a window with a bunch of things you can share. Pick
Yeah.
the one that's got the picture you want.
No, I cannot minimize Zoom Workplace when you record. I can't because I'm recording.
Oh, stop recording then.
Oh, that's a good idea. Donna, you are like a genius. Stop